Hi everybody, Jose here, and I'm with
Mike.
Mike. I've got a question. You know, milk does a body good, right?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
But do you like milk enough to pay $15,000 for drinking it?
No, not today.
Actually, today our topic is about showing etiquette, and this caught our attention because we saw an article online.
Yeah,
right?
we're just looking at real estate news, just general real estate news today, and we came up on this article about something that happened in Canada. So this is not U.S., but
Yeah, so apparently some realtor was showing a property, and before his customers showed up, he got a little thirsty.
yeah,
And he decided to have a drink of milk from the fridge. Well,
Yeah.
The problem was he didn't even use a glass. He just picked it up and drank out of the carton, put the lid back on, and went about his business. But unfortunately for him, the sellers had surveillance in the house and they were able to see this happen. And of course, they filed a complaint and he was fined $15,000 for doing that.
So let's go ahead and show you the video of this specific incident that happened.
Yeah, let's take a look. Oh, there he goes. He's got it. He's definitely gonna,
Yeah, that's pretty nasty. Yeah.
Kind of gross, right?
All right, so that's what happened. I mean, the guy was just like going around the room or the kitchen looking. He looked like he was going to the sink. Maybe he was going to have some water. That would have probably been a wiser decision. So
it would be. But
yeah.
here in the state of Florida, we are governed by...
Want some?
No, I'm good. So here in the state of Florida, you know, we're governed by a code of ethics.
Yes.
And if something like this were to happen to one of our agents here, the first thing a seller would do is to contact the board of realtors and say, hey, I want to make a complaint against one of your agents for touching or using or accessing some personal belongings within my home.
It's theft.
Yeah, and then
milk.
so our board would then have a panel that would then deal with that agent and to determine what the repercussions would be. And of course, our rules are different from that in Canada. But let's talk about the first and foremost etiquette rule when showing properties. The number one thing is if there is surveillance in the home, realtors or listing agents are required to disclose on the MLS that there is surveillance in the home. So that way, buyers agents and their customers are aware that they're being visually and audio recording in the household.
But that's not to protect them from if they did something like steal something or drink milk.
It's just
that's
one of the rules that we have.
That's to ensure that if a buyer's in there discussing the home and discussing negotiation tactics, that they understand that they're on camera. So make sure you do that outside the home.
Correct. And at least the buyer and the agent are fully aware that, hey, we're on video. Let's, one, not take anything from their fridge, and let's not discuss anything that would impede our negotiations further on down the road.
Well, you don't take anything from their fridge, whether you're on video or not.
Oh yeah, I would hope not.
Yes. The ethics of the whole thing. Let's talk about the ethics of the whole thing on showing, because we have people that break ethic rules on showing all the time, but a little bit minor than, well, some of it could be worse than what we saw. For example, they see an electric lockbox on the house, newer agent, they think that because there's an electric lockbox on the house, they're driving by that they can just go in.
Yeah, and unfortunately you can't do that. So it all starts with the MLS. You have to click on the showing instructions button.
Yes.
So once you click on the showing instruction button, it should provide you a simple and direct instruction on how to show the property. So one, you'll follow the instructions and do exactly what it says, whether it's call the listing agent, knock on the door, call the owner, whatever it might be. Or it might ask you to select a certain time that you want to show the property, and then the agent gets back to you to confirm your showing appointment at that day and time.
They might also ask for a pre-approval letter or proof of funds. So make sure you just follow the instructions. To say text, text. To say call. You know, respect the listing agent's request.
What happens if it says it's on combo lockbox, show the house anytime you want, and it gives you a combo lockbox code? The agent should then take that code and do what with it? Use it to show the property. But
Yes.
the
buyer can't see it, yeah.
We've had in the past where a lazy agent might just tell his customer, hey, I'm not available to show it right now, but go ahead and use this combo to let yourself in.
Yeah, no, you can't do that because they're not licensed to be in a house.
Correct. So you physically, even though it says vacant on combo lockbox and a code is provided to you, the agent, you physically have to be there to enter the code to then show the property to your customer. You cannot provide that combo code directly to the customer to let themselves in.
And that was a bigger issue before we had electric lockboxes, but there's some agents now that still list without electric lockboxes. Electric lockbox is really important because it actually documents every time someone goes into it so that the seller agent knows exactly who's there when.
It's the most secure way of showing or accessing properties. And only realtors can access the property with their phone by putting in a specialized individual PIN to access the key.
So if you're selling a house and you're hiring a realtor, make sure they're using an electric lockbox.
Here at our office, we have a policy that if there is somebody living in a home that we list their property, whether it's an owner or tenant, They
has
must
to
use
have.
an electronic lockbox. But in these cases, what happens when you're actually in the house showing the property? Have you ever had a customer say, "Oh, can I use the restroom in the house?"
Oh
while you're
yeah,
showing?
it happens quite often, actually, especially if you're going and showing, like, let's say 6 houses in a row. So you start at, let's say, noon, and at 4 o'clock you're still showing houses, and it's in a residential area. You're not really passing any commercial buildings.
Yeah, and then what I would do is try to schedule a pit stop or a break in between showings to allow that opportunity to your customer, because it does create an awkward situation where the customer's like, I really have to go. Can I just go here in the house that you're showing me? And you kind of are like, well, I mean, if you gotta go, you gotta go, right?
Yeah, it really shouldn't. It should only be done in an emergency situation only.
Yeah.
But in reality, it does happen. And if you're selling a house, you should, as a listing agent should prepare their sellers that could happen. Now, if a seller really has an issue with that, then they can put in the instructions, do not use restroom, and then the agent and the buyers must follow those instructions.
So at the end of the day, if you're out showing property, or if you're a realtor or a customer, you just have to be aware you are in somebody's home. Treat their home and property as you want somebody else to treat your personal property. And of course, by using an electronic lockbox, it's going to record who showed the property, what time they entered the home, and when they left the home. So if anything's been moved or disturbed or taken from the property, it's on record and they will know who did it and what happened.
Another good practice that I do is every time I get to the home, I knock on the door first and I wait. Even if it says vacant, I knock on the door so that people are aware. Let's say that there's some squatters in that house. Very unlikely to happen. Never happened to me.
Yeah. Always knock, ring the doorbell, and then once you let yourself in, just say,
Hey, realtor in the house.
and just so people know it, because we have had awkward situations where somebody's like, oh, I didn't realize you were going to come so soon, or something like that, and they're maybe just finishing in the shower or something
Yeah,
like that.
and
So-
you don't want a crazy guy coming with a gun either. But make sure you get permission. Make sure the listing agent knows about it.
If you're
Make
on
sure you
time, or if
knock.
you're falling behind on time.
Never go in without permission, because that would be called trespassing. Even if you have a real estate license, doesn't mean that you can go into houses that are for sale anytime you want. You actually need permission. If not, it is a crime.
Yes, and sometimes we've had in the past where an agent showing properties, the customer goes by the property and they say, you know what, by looking on the outside of this, we don't want to see it anymore. Let's just go to the next house. And then the agent says, okay, let's go to the next house. And meanwhile, the customer, the homeowners in that house were waiting for you to show up, and you just skipped over the house or didn't show up. That really pisses them off.
Yeah, let
so
them
make
know.
sure you always let the agent know, sorry, we won't make it, or the buyers have decided to pass on the showing. That way you're providing etiquette to your associates in the business.
Communication. Something that some agents do need to work on.
Yeah. So there you guys have it. Next time you're in a house, please refrain.
Make sure you don't drink milk.
Yeah, exactly.
Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.